Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I just finished watching my buddy's David Vink's video talking about Don't Be Fooled, talking about a couple of games that are coming to PlayStation Plus, including Legend of Dragoon and Wild Arms 2. And Sony was saying, hey, we have a couple of great classic RPGs coming out, and David says, hey, don't be fooled, only one of them is a classic. Only one of them is Wild Arms 2, and then the other is Legend of Dragoon, and he goes on to say various reasons why he doesn't really like it very much, which is totally fair. But as I was watching this, I was talking to David, I was like, I'm half tempted to make a video just to say the exact opposite. The Legend of Dragoon is a classic RPG, but Wild Arms 2 sucks. Okay, maybe it doesn't suck, but it definitely does have some drawbacks that others might, have the rose-tinted glasses on when they recall how wonderful it was. But I'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I'd like to just kind of highlight some of the awesome parts of Legend of Dragoon, because it's been a while since I've got a chance to talk about Legend of Dragoon, and it is one of the games that I actually really enjoyed back when it first came out. This rose-tinted glasses and all that, full effect. It's a fun RPG that has this really interesting mechanic that makes you feel kind of like an old school Power Ranger or Ronin Warrior, if you're into that, or various other, Sentai, or, the people who transform and put on the powerful armors and stuff for their combat. Legend of Dragoon is basically a way to fit that into turn-based RPG form, which is kind of unique as far as RPGs go. Outside of the whole Dragoon transformations when they're granted access to super powerful attacks and magic, outside of that, they're just like normal people, more or less, who just happen to have pretty cool weapons and stuff, but the battle system is still pretty unique because they try to keep you engaged by using what's called the additions system. The additions system is essentially what you can use to extend the combat, the attack turns. Think Mario RPG, but a lot longer. Like, you can actually hit, 3 or 4 or 5 times in a row instead of just like 1 or 2. So you can equip different additions to do different kinds of attacks, and you end up using, the same timing you get to learn these attack patterns and stuff in order to deal massive amounts of damage. But on the other hand, if you're just kind of looking for something to sit back and push the A button a few times and, let the game play itself, this game may not be for you. It's also got a pretty, as far as like the voice acting within the game, the people shouting out their incredible attack names, Volcano, Spinning Cane, that sort of thing. Oh, it's wonderful. Go check it out if you haven't had a chance yet, because, it's just endearing in its cheese factor, and if you're not into cheese, probably not for you. Now, Wild Arms 2, I'm gonna say, this is a game that I really did enjoy. For the most part, there's a lot. If you want the good and the bad, again, full review available for it. I stand by everything I said about it, but there's a couple of things that some people really enjoyed about it. The whole, like, having to use the radar while you're on the world map to locate where the pinpoints on the map where the towns are, like, that sort of thing did not appeal to me very much. There are some aspects of it that I think were a step back from the original Wild Arms, like the way that they reeled in the Wild West themes of the game and stuff. That was something that it's still pretty unique. It's still there a little bit, especially like in the intro music. But the protagonist features a sort of Sentai mechanic where he can transform into this ultra form, which is honestly pretty cool. And I guess maybe in a way, it's a little bit tied to Legend of Dragoon in that way, very, very tangentially. Now, that said, really the roughest part about it for me, and the part that made it almost unbearable, was that this game had one of the worst localizations that I've had the displeasure of playing through in recent years. There are 3 that come to mind that just had really, really trash localizations, and there was Breath of Fire 2 on the Super Nintendo. Thank God that they made a retranslation, a fan team made a relocalization of that game. If you're going to play Breath of Fire 2, seek that out. And then, of course, Wild Arms 2, and then Arc-Rise Fantasia. Those are like the 3 big garbage localizations. And in this one, unfortunately, it had no voice acting whatsoever to speak of. So as a result of that, like, you had to read and reread a few things. My God, the interactions between Liz and Ard melted my brain when I was trying to make my way through this game years and years ago. It's still very fun. And if you can look past the localization, if you can see through it and just try to make sense of some of the things that are going on in this game, you're also going to have a great time with this too. But just keep that in mind that it's got a really rough... I mean, Legend of Dragoon has some so bad it's good moments of voice acting. The cutscenes, the pre-rendered cutscenes where they actually have voice acting are really atrocious. But outside of that, it didn't strike me as being a bad text localization, right? But Wild Arms 2 really did have some bad text localization, and with Legend of Dragoon, when its localization is bad, you just wait for the cutscene to end. With Wild Arms 2, the bad localization ends when when the game ends. But it's a fun game. Both of them are great. Maybe not S tier, but both of them are really great. By the way, I'm also really looking forward to, if you haven't heard about it, it's called Armed Fantasia, and it is a spiritual successor by the creator behind Wild Arms, and it's currently in development. I think they did a Kickstarter a while back. That and Penny Blood, with the guy behind Shadow Hearts. Oh, check those out if you haven't already. Get excited for those. Hype responsibly. Get yourself a t-shirt, shop.superderekrpgs.com. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you're curious about the beard, I'm trying something a little bit different. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys later on. Ow!